A press release issued by embattled NPP General Secretary Kwabena Japan dated May 27 is raising tempest among some sitting members of parliament who are questioning the timing and motive of the directive. The release refers to a steering committee meeting held on May 19 at which some decisions were taken on behalf of the National Executive Committee under a certificate of urgency to overturn or uphold the disqualification of some aspirants. Some of the MPs are fuming over why Mr. Japan is going ahead to sideline party rules and procedures to allow non-Ga indigents to contest in areas like Tema East, Tema West. So how is it possible that while impeachment processes have started against Mr. Japan, he could still take critical decisions for the party on behalf of the National Executive Committee? Is this an intentional head-on collision to cause further confusion within the party? My name is Stephen Enti, and this is today's big story. Despite being advised by the party's Council of Elders to step aside in the interest of the party, NPP General Secretary Kwabena Japan still holds himself out as such. And 2 days after a written advice signed by the chairman of the Council of Elders, Clement Tedam, Mr. Japan is courting further controversy. In a press release dated May 27, Mr. Japan is seeking to implement decisions of the steering committee issued under a certificate of urgency on May 19. Some MPs are questioning the motive behind this move and are imputing ill intention on the part of Japan. MP for Tema West, Toshi Ado, is joining us on the telephone line now to tell us what her concerns are on this matter. We'll be raising Toshi back on the telephone line for this discussion. So if you've just joined us, we are looking into a press release that was issued by Mr. Japan, purported to be implementing a decision by the steering committee meeting which was held on May 19 to uphold or overturn some the aspirants from contesting in specific areas. Dr. Agri Darko is joining us on the telephone lines now. Good evening, Dr. Agri Darko. Good evening, sir. It's always good to have you.
Yeah, tiring, but what can we do? We consider it as our service to the community.
Thank you. So
it's a community service, yeah.
Thank you very much. So some of the MPs are questioning the motive behind this move by Kwabena Japan and are imputing ill motive. If you look at the release, Kwabena Japan goes ahead to kind of implement decisions that were made under certificate of urgency as far back as May 19. Do the MPs who are questioning this move have any basis to do so?
Well, yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. If you remember, I did indicate that the party has to be careful. Otherwise, they will be engaging in what I call comedy of error. And you see that we are literally on a slippery slope. You understand? It's very, 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 very difficult. One would expect that a certificate of urgency, as the name suggests, will not take more than 1 week for it to be released. You understand? So maybe it is because perhaps they said that they prevented him from maybe going to the headquarters, and one would want to find out where he released that letter. But it is also important for us to know that once the person has not been relieved of his position, of course, once the due processes have not been observed to relieve him of his position, he's still the substantive, the legitimate Secretary General. That is not in question at all. I don't think the MPs will want to suggest that a legitimate General Secretary of a party should not undertake his core mandate. You understand? Unless that's what they want to tell us. So, but I think that once the other processes have not been, activated, and once he still remains the General Secretary, why not? He is still the chief scribe of the organization, and therefore communications issuing out of that political party should be under his signature. And that is what I want to look at it from that angle. Otherwise, what we'll be suggesting is that anytime some allegations are made against some individuals, then literally you want to prevent them from performing, his function, as it were. In 2013, President John Dramani Mohammed's status as the president of this republic was in question.
Yeah, that's right.
Because there was a petition at the Supreme Court. But that did not prevent him from prosecuting his mandate as the president of the republic. You understand? Otherwise, then what we are saying is that rule of law, now we are relapsing into what I call rule of men, arbitrariness, which is inimical to any democratic system. You understand?
Yes,
so
I do.
For me, once the person remains the legitimate Secretary General of the party, and he has not been relieved of that position, he still has the authority, of the party to issue, some of these, statements and so on and so forth. So unless, of course, we want to say that we want to jettison the constitution of the party, we want to undermine the various constitution, the various processes. In that regard, we are relapsing into what I refer to as a state of nature. You understand? That's how I want to look at it.
That's how you want to look at it. But, Doc, there are those who will say that, for example, if majority of your party members, we are unable to say, indeed, whether all the regions have finally decided to pass a vote of no confidence. We're still waiting for a consensus from Ashanti region. We're still waiting for a consensus from the Volta region and the northern regions. But as it is, these processes are ongoing, and it just appears that going ahead to issue a press release signed by himself 2 days after the Council of Elders had written to him and Paul Afoko advising. In fact, the words in that letter says that strongly advise the two of them to step aside, and he still goes ahead to still issue this. Is it not confrontational?
Yeah, well, if the council advises, I mean, it's an advisory. The issue is they don't have the mandate to say that step aside. That is why they said they strongly advise. Otherwise, they would have said that, well, by the powers vested in us as so and so, we order you to go back. Because they know that there's a bigger, body that has to take that decision, and that is why they are advising. And if you advise me and I'm not interested, why not? Even if the government set up a committee of inquiry and their recommendations, there's nothing that binds the government to undertake or to implement all the recommendations under this the commission's report. So for me, what is critical is that the party should not be jumping the gun. What the party must do, if they so desire that the person or these two individuals perhaps their continued existence in their respective positions poses a threat, to the stability of the party. The right thing must be done, and not just a vote of no confidence. The Constitution clearly spells out the processes that must be followed, and then of course culminating in these people's removal and so on. But not until that is done. I don't think that you want to say that because there have been allegations against an individual, naturally the person should not, prosecute his agenda. I will tell you on authority that the same individuals will come back one day and say that, well, you had not been removed from office.
Right.
You had a mandate of the party to execute. Some people even say that you have abdicated because the processes have not been, concluded, and you are still the legitimate general secretary. What is important is that I want to advise the party that this back and forth kind of arrangement, that people have issued this, minority spokesperson minority in parliament have done this. Meanwhile, within the minority itself, you have some dissenting voices, people who have argued that perhaps that particular decision was not even on agenda, and they have spoken to some individuals who are even saying that they were not privy to those arrangements. If you check the date that or the time they released this minorities, letter or press release,
that's right.
You check the time that was released to the media houses, and you check the time that the meeting was presumed to have been held. You see that there are some inconsistencies there, and it looks as if that the letter was even written before the meeting was convened.
Exactly.
Yes. So, who is doing what and who is behind what? the party must sit down and really be futuristic. That individual wranglings and personality clashes and who has done this and who has done that perhaps will undermine the unity of the party and further deepen the, as I indicated, the cleavages that already exist within the party. What the party must do is that what should be the overall interest of the party. Do we really want to be a virile opposition now and be a credible alternative subsequently? If that is so, then we need to be able to revise the way we do things. If the processes, if they want to remove the man, they should seriously activate the constitutional processes. And then, of course, then everybody knows that the person has actually been removed. And then processes now begin as to who must replace him and so on, replace them and so on and so forth. But for now, this back and forth, this show of force and show of power, and who wields higher authority and who has what say, and then people are now going back and then digging into certain issues and bringing who said what against who and who is planning what against who. You see, these things, if they exist in any group, all that you are telling the rank and file, in fact, and even those of us who are yet observers, that you don't want to really prosecute the agenda that is conferred on you, by the constitution of this country. And that will, people, I tell you that people will not forgive the leadership if they fail to live up to their billing, as a very violent opposition for now, as I indicated, and then present themselves as a force to reckon with. Because we need that violent opposition now, even for NDC, the National Democratic Congress, to even, be able to come out with very good public policies and programs. We know that nobody is a paradigm of virtue. And therefore, even the ruling government would need some diligence, some meticulous, some, still rigorous, criticisms of the key policies and programs. So at the end of the day, we can have a policy which can stand the test of time. And not a law that we can pass today and we cannot even implement because no serious thinking went into it. And everybody there will all seem to be singing from the same hymn sheet.
Right. Dr. Agridaku, we are going to have to hold you. I'm still trying to get onto the line Natoshi Ado, who has some very strong views on this statement. Before we hear from her, I'm unable to discuss some of the issues that she raised because it will be fair for her to be on the line so that I'll raise those issues for discussion. So I'll have you hold briefly and then we'll return to you for further discussions on this. But I must say that we have received a notice from the Ghana Police Service in which a magistrate court has issued a warrant for the arrest of Asabki Alangde for the offense of conspiracy under Section 23(1) and murder under Section 46 of the Criminal Offences Act, Act 2/1960. The suspect, according to this notice, is one of the two alleged to have poured some substances suspected to be acid on the Upper East Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, which led to his death. And then the suspect, Asabki Alangde, the notice says is a native of Tanzu and Bolgatanga in the Upper East region. Anybody with information on his whereabouts should contact the CID headquarters on some numbers that have been given. We will be making those numbers available to you later on after this program, or you can report to the nearest police station. So the notice we are getting is that the magistrate court has issued a warrant for the arrest of Asabki Alangde for the offense of conspiracy under Section 23(1) of the Criminal Code and murder under 46 of the same Criminal Code. The suspect is one of two alleged to have poured acid. The substance has been confirmed to be acid on the Upper East Regional Chairman of the NPP, who died from wounds sustained from this injury. So let's continue with our discussions now. Dr. Agridaku, I think we're still not able to get Natoshi, but let me quickly rephrase her position in this. You would recall that a steering committee meeting recommended some form of affirmative action in favor of women sitting MPs, and also issued out a directive that certain seats within the Greater Accra region should be reserved for natives. Natusi is not happy that for Tema West, for example, 2 of the aspirants that have been approved to contest that position are from the eastern region. Do you think she's just being grumpy over nothing?
Well, directives are directives. If the party issued that directive, that is why we normally say that rule of law is superior to rule of men. You understand?
Yeah.
I like, Aristotle for one thing. He says that the law has the quality of impersonality. You see, when the law is applied religiously, it has a quality of impersonality. It applies religiously to all manner of persons. So it ensures some high level of fairness. If you allow individuals to decide, or you give individuals wide discretionary powers, one conclusion is certain: abuse. And that is why rules, guidelines are important. And if the guidelines are anything to go by, then one would expect that the guidelines will apply religiously to all situations and so on. And so therefore, what do you call it? Because the first one doesn't apply, because I think they recon and revise the one which was literally going to ring fence the seat of the female,
MPs.
That was revised.
Yeah.
But if the other one had not been revised, then it suggests that that implementation should have been fair to all the constituencies. Unless, of course, they want to tell us that the Tamako is not a inconstituency. But if it is, then we would expect that the same guidelines will apply. And if he thinks that the guidelines has been massaged a little bit, then it will be every cause to complain. Why not? If human beings will have to complain. I mean, if you think that, otherwise, when you sit passively, you'll be actively exploited. You understand? Don't be a passive onlooker. But otherwise, you will be actively exploited. So if has the guarantee is complaining, I think that it is justified. Yes.
Right, Dr. Agredako, we're losing the quality of signal we have with you, so we'll call you on your other line and see whether the line will improve for us to continue our discussion. But we'll switch to other things. Earlier today, a group of young men who are aligned to Paul Afoko, the national chairman Paul Afoko, stormed the Nima Police Division, Nima Police Station to actually issue a 2-day ultimatum for the invisible force that has positioned itself at the NPP headquarters to be removed, failing which the group says it will unleash its members to attack the NPP headquarters. Our reporter Kwachi Afre Nyama was there and had some interaction with some of the young people at the Nima police station. Let's take a watch.
To come out and solve this problem. If the leaders didn't come out and they need the criminals to be there, don't give a damn about that.
Violence is the only way.
That's what we will think now. If that's what they want, and we give them 24 hours. After 24 hours, anything can happen, and we are ready. We are ready.
Serious. We make what? Wallahi, we make what? See, we don't joke. I will tell you. I will tell you something. Wallahi. I'll grow your work away.
It not be possible. Therefore, make we to the youth of Africa. Have the youth of Africa, so we can't be representing and just working like that. Imagine women standing here, we need work to do, and they are frauding us, and now we want to say the truth. They are attacking us from the station. What's the income of it? We need some talk. If not, we decide what Charlie.
We want them to leave the chairman and the secretary general to do their work, because they were voted in, they weren't handpicked. They were voted by the delegates. So we can't see the reason why some group of people will prevent them from coming to their offices at the same time. That's why we are here. We came a lot complaint because we are capable of attacking them ourselves. But to prevent all this, we are coming to report to the police before we storm them. So they should wait for us. If they don't move, by tomorrow, 2 o'clock, we will storm the headquarters.
Right, these are very, very worrying, angry resentments that are boiling up there. These young people have issued a 24-hour ultimatum earlier, I said 2 days. We have Natoshi now joining us on the telephone line. Natoshi Ado is MP for Tema West. Good evening, ma'am, and thanks for joining us now. Good evening, madam, and thanks for your time on today's big story.
Good evening.
So we know we've spoken to you off air, and you have raised very serious concerns about this press release issued by Kwabena Japan. Are you concerned that although impeachment processes are ongoing against him, he could still have access to the NPP head office to issue a statement, or it is just the content that you disagree with?
Actually, that is one of my concerns. The last time the letterhead came out, he said he hadn't had access to the office and didn't have a letterhead. Question is, how did he get the letterhead to issue this one? Was it hacked? And I'm hearing when I sent his special aid or whatever, OPK claims he issued it himself. So I asked him that, how come he got the letterhead this time? Because this he said he didn't have the letterhead. You see, it's a very funny thing. And when you read it, it says it is a decision is being taken by the steering committee on a certificate of urgency. And that decision was taken on the 19th of May. How come it was not released until today? Then it couldn't have been an agency. It couldn't have been an urgent matter. If after the 19th of May it was urgent, how could it have waited up to this time? How could a general secretary who's going through such serious problems still have the mindset to say, I'm issuing this sort of thing? Listen. How? Something is right somewhere. Something is wrong somewhere.
Who raised this issue with Kwabena Japan himself or the steering committee to seek some redress over some of the issues that you're raising?
I have asked about 5 members, and they all said there was no such decision. Nobody cleared Carlos or anybody. They didn't even go into those details. They were just saying constituencies that had problems and had petitioned and all that. The General Secretary was aware that I had a petition before the National Appeals Committee, and all they asked him to do was that he should get the Director of Elections to set up a National Appeals Committee, which is really what the rules of engagement are. You have to set it up, you see? So for him to think that he can just do anything, the party belongs to him.
So what you suspect that he's going against all party rules and procedures
that is exactly
to more like hoist his own favorites on the party?
That's exactly what he's doing. Everything, if the rules of the party said left, he decides to go right. He seems to just be creating some confusion, and some people are enjoying it. Unfortunately, I'm not. And I'm not going to sit down for something like this to come up. This is my third time of contesting, and I know the rules of engagement. You can't just decide that as a steering committee, you're taking a decision for the next. Well, I mean, what's the certificate agency? There was nothing like that in the country.
You think...
But the next day, Adam died.
You really think that...
Adam had acid poured on him, and he died the next day. So did somebody have any mindset that there was going to be an emergency situation in the NPP? Indeed, if this country was really working well, with all this information, the BNI or the National Security would have the General Secretary arrested and questioned on that. But of course, Ghana is not working as it should.
Right. Honorable Natoshi, let me quickly wrap up with you. You also had concerns with the approval, the overturning the disqualification of Ajua Amwako and Carlos Ahinkura, who are the 2 that have been allowed to contest you in Tema West. Are you worried that they are not gas, or you're worried about the stiff competition they will bring?
I want to know the basis. I have read the report on the disqualification, and all the points, about 7 or 8 points for Carlos, it all falls in line with the rules that were set for us to contest. I want to know what the basis of the qualifications are. It's only fair, isn't it? It's only fair. The gas thing is just one of it, a little bit part of it, but even not get into that. National executive decides that they're going to affirm some constituency as a Ghana-only contest area. Now, because Natoshi is there, so 2 Eastern region people can be allowed, just like that. Hell no.
Right.
National Council will have to sit and take Kama West out.
Honorable
I don't have a
Natashi,
problem.
we're grateful for your time. I'm afraid we'll have to move on. And thank you very much for joining us. We've been trying very hard to reach some executives of the NPP to react over these concerns that have come up from Natashi, but we have not been successful. So earlier I did mention that here in Accra, the NPP headquarters, tension remains as a group aligned to Paul Afoko issued a 24-hour ultimatum for the police to remove the invisible force from the headquarters, failing which the group is threatening to unleash its members to attack the party headquarters. Kwachi Afreniama has been following that beat and is here. Kwachi, tell me quickly, what's the situation at the headquarters vis-a-vis what is happening at the Nima police station and wherever you have been today following the NPP issues?
Well, after the clashes at the, barely 2 hours after the clashes at the party's Asylum Down headquarters, another group, and this is not the same group, these are all Paul Afoko supporters indeed. Another group went to the Nima police station, as you mentioned earlier, to petition the Nima police command somewhere last week, Friday, or I think on Thursday. The invisible security force of the NPP, they took over, vowing that they will not allow Paul Afoko, party chairman, and Kwabena Japan to enter the premises. Now, this group that petitioned the Nima police command, they are saying that this is clearly unacceptable. They want the police to take over the security situation there, and they are vowed that if this doesn't happen, and as we heard earlier, within 24 hours, by 2 p.m. tomorrow, they will advise themselves. They will see the party's headquarters. Obviously, some tension there.
Some of the young men you spoke to were very angry, boiling with passion and bitter about a lot of things. You foresee trouble coming if nothing is done within the next 24 hours. It's going to be chaotic, really.
Certainly, Steve, looking at how events have unfolded over the past 2 weeks or so, somewhere last week, it was on Friday, when we had reports that a youth group was intended massing up at the party headquarters to demand the resignation of Paul Afoko and Kwabena Japan. Well, that did not come up because the police beefed up security there. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Obviously, with this information, what the police are saying is that they are going to seek reinforcement at the NPP headquarters.
Around the area.
We'll see how events unfold on that score as well.
Fred, Alfred, we're grateful for your time. Kwachi Afreniama is our reporter who has been following the NPP beat all day today. So quickly before I go, I must say that a notice from the police service says that an Accra Magistrate Court has issued a warrant for the arrest of Asabke Alangdi for the offence of conspiracy, Section 23 of the Criminal Code, and murder under Section 46 of the same criminal code. So if you have information on the whereabouts of this person, you should contact the CID headquarters on 0302761733, or you can report to the nearest police station. My name is Stephen Enti, and that's where we draw the curtains for today's big story. We'll be right back with Joy News Interactive. Do stay.